Further debate. Recognize a member from Sarnia-Lambton.
Thank you, Speaker. It's a pleasure to rise today and in the legislature and speak to the Opposition Day motion put forward by the member from Hamilton Centre. The member, Mr. Speaker, is asking for this legislature to put its support behind calling for a public inquiry on the awarding and management of public contracts in the energy industry. This is something that I know the residents in my riding of Sarnia-Lambton would support. I believe that, in fact, most residents in Ontario would support a public inquiry into how this government has conducted business and managed the energy file in Ontario. It will, of course, be very interesting to see how the members of the government will decide to vote on this motion. If the Premier and her ministers have nothing to hide, they won't run from a public inquiry. For the sake of restoring the public's trust in government, the Premier should do the right thing, throw her support behind a public inquiry. Unfortunately, I don't see that happening. As the word of the motion says, quote, there are deeply concerning questions about the conduct of this Liberal government in respect of energy contracts, end of quote. That is putting it nicely, Mr. Speaker. I support this motion and the call for a public inquiry on the awarding of energy contracts because the provincial energy file and the management of the provincial energy file by the government continues to this day to be the biggest source of calls, emails and complaints to my office in Sarnia-Lambton.
Mine too.
Hardly a day goes by without a constituent commenting to me or my staff that they can't understand what this government is doing with the Ontario energy system or why they continue to make decisions that make energy more expensive for them. We are hearing from more and more people who are being cut off by their power company because they have fallen so far behind on their payments. There is nothing else that can be done to keep their accounts active. And as the member from Renfrew, Nipissing, Pembroke said, $9.2 billion a year more just in renewables. You know, they take pride on these. It irritates me to no end. I drive the 403 and the 402 to get to Queen's Park every week, and I have to drive through these monstrosities, monoliths on the skyline, and I think about it every day. That's not in my notes, but it irritates me to no end, and I think if the Liberal backbenchers in rural Ontario, some of them not here now, but if they just stood up and spoke to the McGuinty government and this government that's here today and said, we don't want these, we'll sit as independents or we'll cross the floor. If they'd have had the intestinal fortitude to do that, I don't think we'd have seen those windmills in Ontario. That's just a personal rant of mine because I got to drive by them all the time. A perfect example of this paradox occurred just a few days ago on May 1st. I'm upset now. That was the day the Ontario Energy Board said energy rates would have to increase in Ontario because during the past winter, Ontario residents managed to conserve too much energy. The average consumer's energy bill will increase approximately $37.56. Since November 2015, hydro bills have increased an average of $186.96 a year. That means more money from families and seniors going to pay for basic necessities like light and heat for no reason other than this government has mismanaged the energy file and put its own political agenda and possibly its party's agenda ahead of what is best for the people of Ontario. What we are left with is an Ontario energy system, Mr. Speaker, that can be summed up like this. You use too much energy, you pay more. You conserve energy, you pay more. People are justifiably confused. Are people in Ontario supposed to conserve energy, or are they supposed to use more energy so their hydro rates won't go up? At the same time, my office is taking calls from seniors and families who can no longer afford the cost of energy to heat their homes. We're reading reports in the media of lavish $5,000 and $10,000 per plate fundraising dinners being hosted by the Premier and the Minister of Energy. And like as my Liberal colleagues say, oh, there's no connection. Well, why the heck would someone pay $5,000, $10,000 per person in the energy business if there was no connection between the minister and the Premier being there? I don't know. I come from small-town Ontario, and that's not the way we think down there. Yeah, they got a quota, that's right. Serious allegations have been raised in the media as to the conduct of this government, and the perception is growing that it may have been turned doing government business into money-making for the Ontario Liberal Party. I know people in Sarnia-Lambton feel as if they can no longer trust this government to act with integrity. The sale of Hydro One is a good example of the government putting its short-term gain ahead of the long-term interests of the people of Sarnia-Lambton. The Premier and the Minister of Finance have proceeded with a fire sale of Hydro One. despite opposition from 185 municipalities, including the City of Sarnia and Lambton County, and nearly 80% of Ontarians. The Financial Accountability Office projects that selling Hydro One will make the province's fiscal situation worse than if they didn't sell. People in Sarnia and Lambton are wondering why, then, is this government pushing ahead with such an unpopular idea? Why does this government think that they know best? I've been here almost 10 years now, and there's no end to it. I can't believe the hypocrisy of this government. Like every day. No, I believe. I mean this. I mean it. I see it, and I don't know why. I'll be honest. I don't see why.
Ask the member to withdraw.
Okay, what did I say? Anyway, all right, I withdraw. I withdraw, whatever I say. Anyway, I'll get back to my script. I better stick to my script here. Was this an idea that was put forward or discussed at one of the incredible pricey dinners? Oh, maybe you won't want to hear this. At the incredible pricey dinners hosted by the Premier or the Minister of Finance? Was it a move to show a short-term reduction in deficit numbers at the expense of a predictable $700 million a year in annual revenue in future years? I just seen somebody. Well, we actually had a meeting with someone earlier this week, and they said that they're going to have to earn 2.5 times of the revenue to make up for this sale. And this individual, who's a lot more intelligent than most of us in this room, said they can't do it. Similar questions come to mind. How much time do I have here? 23:30. Oh, okay. Similar questions come to mind when I read the news that 7 renewable energy companies that donated more than $250,000 to the Ontario Liberal Party over the last few years all received contracts from this government during the last round of renewable procurement. In Lambton County, which is an unwilling host, to all you over there, an unwilling host for industrial wind turbines, people have serious questions about if the procurement fair is fair and transparent. Does local input actually matter to the Minister of Energy when awarding contracts? All of these questions reinforce the need for a public inquiry into the awarding and management of public contracts that fall within the energy portfolio. Mr. Speaker, I support this motion and will be voting in favour. I hope that the members on the other side of the House will listen. Listen for once. Don't listen to the talking points from the corner office on the second floor in the Premier's office. Represent your own constituents. Represent your own constituents for once. They're getting these high hydro bills. You know it's not right. Go out and do the right thing when you get the opportunity. If they support the motion and the Premier calls a public inquiry into the handling and management of public energy contracts, it will go a long way to restoring a sense of trust in this government. A little bit. Right now, too many people who contact my office don't trust this government. I hear it every day. Honest to God, every day when I go to a public event back home, I've heard more complaints about this government and this Premier than the former government. Yeah, me as well. Former Premier. And I'm not exaggerating.
That's scary, Bob.
If they do support this motion, it would go a long way to restoring that sense of trust in government. Right now, too many people who contact my office don't trust government. They don't trust what's happening in Ontario right now, that it's going to help the province and the people who live here to succeed and thrive in years to come. This is a major concern for me. I hope that the members of the government can demonstrate that support by supporting this motion, and that the future of this great province is a concern of theirs as well. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Here, here. Well done, Bobby Bill.
Thank you very much.